All right, everyone. So in the last lesson, we went ahead and we created a basic form to create some posts and add it to our posts array up here. However, when we went and created that, if we go here and create one again just to see that, so let's say uh, fourth post and we submit, it'll say details for new post ID. It won't say details for fourth post. It won't say details for 4 or anything like that because we're just placeholder text setting post ID equal to new post ID. So there we go. So what do we want to do instead of that? Well, we want to be able to give it a number. Say for the fourth post, it should be post ID equals 4. And then it should render the correct title for that post, right? So it should know which post we're talking about and be able to show us the title for that post on the details page. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, in order to do that, first of all, we need to be able to get the correct post out of our post array. So up here, when we're trying to give the user some details for the post, we want to be able to grab that from the post array up here. Okay, so we already know in order to get access to that, we have to say, okay, global posts. So Python knows we want to use the global post we defined up there. And then what we want to do is we want to say that the post ID is going to be equal to an integer version of post ID. And this is just one way we can cast. This is going to come in as a string. So, it could be new post ID just like we had before. But typically it's going to be something like 1 or 2 or 3 or something else. And right now we're going to be using integers. So we want to be able to cast that to an integer so we can use it as an index into our posts array. So what we want to do here is we want to cast that to an integer just like we did. And then the next thing is we want to say if that post ID is going to be less than or equal to the length, and this is a length function to get the length of an array in Python. So if it's less than or equal to the length of posts, then what we know is that that is an actual post. So right now when we start out and we have post 1, post 2, that's going to be a length of 2 for that post array. Now if they give us 3, well, we don't have a third post, so we're just going to say that post doesn't exist. So for now we're just going to pass just so I can define this else. So if they send us 3 or 4 or whatever, anything that is not less than the length of the post, we're just going to return say a 404 error. 404 error, probably your favorite on the internet. When you see that, what does it mean? It means can't find this. So if they send us, I want to see the details for post 3, we're going to be sorry, we can't find the details for post 3 because we can't find post 3. Now, Bottle has a way of doing this, and it is called abort. And you're able to abort and send a 404 error back to the user. So we're going to import this right here, and it's very handy for sending back errors. So we're going to say return abort, and we want to give them the code 404 or not found, and then we want to give them a little message, an error code, right? So let's just say post ID cannot be found, right? That's clear enough. It says we couldn't find that post ID. So if you send us 3, we can't find it, we're going to tell you that. However, what if we can find it? So what if they send us /blog/1? Well, we do have a first post. It's right here. What do we want to do here? Well, we want to render a template, right? We could just say, we have this post, but we want to render a template. What is that template going to be? Well, we could call it post detail, whatever. You call it whatever you like. I think I'm going to call it just post, right? Because this is the post template, right? So it's just the post.html. Once again, I'm going to copy all of this, plug it into here, and we're going to see a better way of doing this later so we don't have to do all this copy pasting. We just do some includes. It's going to be awesome. But for now, we're just going to do this. So we're going to say post detail page. I think that's clear enough for now. Now we're going to go back to the app. So let's go ahead and render that. You should remember how to do this by now. We just return the template, tell it which template. Well, that's going to be post.html. We just created that. Now what else do we want to give it? Well, in this case, we have a post. We want to show them that we know which post they're talking about. So let's send them that post. How do we do that? Well, since all the posts are stored in that post array, we're just going to say the post variable in the template is going to equal posts index post ID -1. Why minus 1? Well, hopefully you know this, but if you don't, arrays are indexed starting at 0. So the first post is going to be index 0. So if they send us the URL of /blog/1, the user is thinking, okay, /1, that's the first post. But we know that the array starts at 0. So we have to say, okay, we want to give them the post at index 1 minus 1 or 2 minus 1. Whatever they give us is going to be minus 1 so we can get the correct index and give them the correct post. So now that we do that, let's go back into the post template over here. So we're just going to change this to details for post right there. So they know that we know which post they're talking about. Let's go ahead and test this now. Let's go ahead and head to the server. It's going to reload. We're going to go to the blog. And now it would be handy, actually, if we could just go to these, and we'll do that here in just a second, but let's say /1. Well, details for post 1, /2, details for post 2. And now I want to show you that this is not just rendering, post 2 because it's 2. This is actually grabbing the title from up here. So let's say a great post, and let's say another amazing article, right? So now if we come here, this is going to show us details for another amazing article. It's just printing out that title right there because that's all we're storing in the post array. Now what if we wanted to store something a little bit more complicated? So we could have both the ID and the title and the content and the author and the created date and some categories and anything you could imagine. You could do this kind of stuff. But we're just going to keep it straightforward. We're going to keep it to ID and title. So we want to know what the ID is and what the title is. Now we could do this by just passing along the index we used, but that gets kind of messy and we're doing a lot of weird math logic just to send a value. We should probably store that value with the post itself because that may change. You may delete an article, and so instead of having 1, 2, 3, well, if you delete 2, now you have 1, 3, so sending them the index might not actually be the correct ID for the post. So let's go ahead and store that on the actual post itself. Well, how do we do this? It's going to be pretty easy. Instead of storing a list of strings, we're going to store a list of objects here, or these are like little dictionaries, right? So we can just define the properties that these dictionaries are going to have with ID, and for us that ID is going to be 1, and then a title. And that title we'll just say is post 1, right? And since this is a list of these objects, we'll copy that, put a comma, paste it below. I'm going to put a tab there. And so the second post, its ID is going to be 2, and its title is going to be 2 as well. Now that we have that, let's go ahead and look at the details page and see what that looks like. If we go ahead and load that up, there we go. Details for ID 2, title, post 2. A user is not going to know what to do with that. We have to make it look pretty for the user, right? So let's go ahead and go back to that post over here, and we'll see that we're passing in the post. And so we could just print that post out, or since it's a dictionary, we could get access to its properties just like we do with any other dictionary in Python, right? So if we try to access the ID key of the post, it's going to say details for and then give us the ID. So for 2, that's going to be 2, details for 2. Well, after that, what do we want to tell the user? We want to tell them what the title is, right? So they actually, they really know that we know what post they're trying to talk about, right? So let's put that inside of paragraph title. Let's just say the title is, and hopefully you should be able to do this. We're just going to grab the title key from the dictionary. Remember, we gave an ID key and a title key. So we can just access that because we passed it in right here. We said the post equals one of these objects, whichever one they're trying to index to. So we grab the right one, we send it over to the post template, and then we can access it just like a dictionary because it is a dictionary. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and reload this yet again. And there we go. The title is post 2. Now I said we were going to make it easy to get to this point. So if we go back to the blog, not very easy to get here. Also, again, not very pretty. So let's go fix both of those right now. So if we go over to blog.html, instead of printing out that post, hopefully you can do this, title. We're going to post out the post title. And so now if we come here and reload, okay, a lot prettier, but I want to be able to, go there. I want to be able to click on something. So a lot of times in a blog, you'll see like a read more link, and we don't have any content. So that's kind of vague thing, but we're just going to say, if you want to go see the details on this post, click this read more link. So let's add that read more link. It's just going to be /blog/1 or /2 or whatever the ID is. And since we have access to the post, we can go ahead and just say post ID, right? Because we have access to that post, so we can grab the appropriate ID. So if this is the first post, it'll be ID of 1. If the second post, it'll be ID of 2. And so we can just, inside this anchor tag, say read more. And that should send them on. You can do whatever you like there. So if we come here and reload, there we go, read more. If I click this link, it sends me to the details for 1, tells me the title of my post. So there we go. I hope that makes a lot of sense. I hope you learned a couple new ways you can store your data, how you can render your data. You can store it as a dictionary and then render it using Python syntax to get access to the keys of that dictionary, which is pretty powerful. And it's just one of the many ways you can render stuff in your templates with Bottle. So in the next lesson, we're going to go ahead and look at how to create one of these new posts, because now we're just trying to append some string to the post, but we actually need to create this little dictionary here and then append that. So we're going to look at how to do that in the next lesson. I'll see you there.